tragic death of Angeline Megawe, a heartbreaking case of child abuse in Bali. The death of 7-year-old Angeline Megawe shocked Indonesia, uncovering painful truths about child abuse. On May 16, 2015, Angeline was reported missing in Denpasar, Bali, by her adoptive family. They created a Facebook page, Find Angeline, Bali's Missing Child, which quickly drew national attention. This led to widespread media coverage and public interest in the case. Angeline was born on May 19, 2007, in Canggu, Bali, to Hamida and Ahmad Rosiidi, a domestic worker and construction laborer. Financially struggling, her parents couldn't afford her birth expenses. Margaret, who was introduced to Hamida during this time, offered to cover the costs and expressed interest in adopting Angeline. With no other options, Hamida agreed to let her child be adopted by Margaret. 3 days after her birth, Angeline was taken by Margaret, who named her after her own mother. However, the adoption was informal, documented only with a notarized agreement, not a court-approved process. The agreement obligated Margaret to care for Angeline as her own child, which was ultimately not upheld. The document also included a clause preventing Angeline's biological parents from visiting her until she turned 18. In return, Angeline was to be named an heir within Margaret's family. Troubling signs in Angeline's upbringing. Angeline's early years seemed normal, as Margaret and her husband, Douglas, along with their 2 daughters, moved between cities before settling in Bali. However, Douglas passed away in 2008, and over time, signs of neglect and abuse surfaced. Margaret's temperament became unpredictable, and despite the family's stable finances, Angeline lived in poor conditions, surrounded by animal cages in an unkempt environment. Teachers noted her decline in health and cleanliness. She often arrived at school unwashed, with clothes smelling of animals. Angeline was burdened with heavy household chores, including feeding Margaret's animals. Failing these duties led to punishment, and Angeline's condition grew more concerning as she became withdrawn, malnourished, and exhausted. Teachers noticed she would arrive at school hungry, dispelling Margaret's claim that she disliked eating. When offered food, Angeline would finish multiple plates, showing signs of severe neglect. Missed signs and national outcry. One school principal even attempted to adopt Angeline, but Margaret refused, citing responsibilities Angeline had at home. Margaret defended her actions, claiming her strict discipline was meant to teach responsibility. However, her refusal to release custody and threats to those who intervened suggested deeper issues. The tragedy of Angeline's death moved the nation, sparking conversations about child welfare, adoption laws, and the importance of protecting vulnerable children. The case was later adapted into a film, Untuck Angeline, to raise awareness about the impact of neglect and abuse, underscoring the urgent need for supportive systems for children in difficult situations. Angeline's case first came to public attention when a Facebook page titled Find Angeline, Bali's Missing Child, was created by her adoptive sister, Christine, who was studying in the United States, on May 16, 2015, at around 5 p.m. local time. That same day, her other sister, Yvonne, distributed flyers about Angeline's disappearance. The following day, various media outlets reported the case. According to Yvonne's statement, Angeline had gone missing while playing in front of her house around 3 p.m. After failing to locate her by 6 p.m., Yvonne reported the incident to the police. The search team from the police made extensive efforts, including checking CCTV footage, analyzing the cell phones of both her biological and adoptive parents, and using tracking dogs that strangely circled only around the house. Members of Angeline's extended family also traveled from outside Bali to assist in the search. The case garnered the attention of the Indonesian National Commission for Child Protection, KPAI. The head of KPAI, Arist Merdeka Surait, along with 2 team members, traveled to Bali to discuss the case with the Denpasar Police Department and the Bali Police Department. They also visited Margriet's house. Arist observed that the home was in poor condition, filled with chicken coops housing about 100 chickens, making it an unsuitable environment for a child's growth. KPAI expressed their intent to temporarily take over Margriet's guardianship of Angeline, which provoked an emotional response from Margriet, who cried hysterically and threatened to harm anyone who would try to take Angeline away from her. Margriet's house was also visited by 2 cabinet ministers, the Minister of Administrative and Bureaucratic Reform, Yeti Krishnandi, and the Minister of Women's Empowerment and Child Protection, Johanna Yembais. However, Margriet refused to meet with them and denied them entry to her house. The Denpasar Center for Integrated Services for Women and Children, P2TP2A, also became involved in handling the case. Siti Sapura, the legal counselor for P2TP2A, stated that indicators suggested Angeline's disappearance was likely not due to kidnapping or her running away but rather to foul play. This suspicion arose from the lack of evidence that Angeline had gone missing in the vicinity of her home and the existence of certain rooms in the house that only Margriet and her closest associates were allowed to enter. Suspicion further increased when Margriet's former housemaid, Auguste Hamba May, stated that the day before Angeline was reported missing, he saw her nose bleeding after being struck by her mother. The search for Angeline ended tragically on June 10, 2015, when her body was found buried in her backyard under a banana tree, along with her doll, covered with garbage. The forensic team led by Dr. Ida Bagus Putu Alit at Sangla General Hospital found that Angeline had died approximately 3 weeks before her body was discovered. Her body showed multiple signs of physical abuse, including bruises on her face, neck, and limbs, as well as cigarette burns on her back. These injuries suggested blunt force trauma, which caused brain hemorrhaging and ultimately led to her death.
Kemudian kita menemukan juga adanya luka-luka, di mana luka-luka ini karena kekerasan tumpul pada wajah, pada kepala, pada leher, dan anggota gerak atas dan bawah.
After the autopsy, Angeline's body was laid to rest in her biological mother's hometown, in Wadung Pal Hamlet, Tulungrajo Village, Glenmore District, Banyuwangi Regency. Her tragic passing left deep sorrow and sparked nationwide awareness about child protection issues that had long been overlooked in Indonesia. After Angeline's body was found on June 10, 2015, the Denpasar police launched an investigation involving Margriet, Angeline's adoptive mother, her adoptive sisters, their maid Auguste, 2 boarders, and a security guard hired by Margriet during the media frenzy. Initially, Auguste was charged with Angeline's murder, having confessed to assaulting and burying her on May 16, the day of her disappearance. However, on June 14, 2015, the police also charged Margriet with child neglect, and later escalated her charges to murder, based on evidence including Auguste's statements, forensic results from Sangla Hospital, and findings at the crime scene. Margriet's lawyers challenged her murder charges and filed a pre-trial motion, but on July 29, the Denpasar District Court upheld her status as a murder suspect, citing sufficient evidence. On September 7, 2015, the case was deemed ready for trial, and Margriet faced charges of premeditated murder, abuse, and child neglect. The trial began on October 22, 2015, with prosecutors alleging that Margriet had ordered Auguste to bury Angeline's body and had even inflicted injuries on the child herself. Witnesses and forensic evidence supported these claims, suggesting that Margriet had abused and killed Angeline to conceal the abuse. Margriet denied the allegations, asserting that she loved Angeline as her daughter. In February 2016, prosecutors recommended a 12-year sentence for Auguste on charges of negligence causing death, and a life sentence for Margriet for murder. Margriet's defense called the charges imaginative. On February 29, 2016, the court sentenced Margaret to life imprisonment, while Agus received a 10-year sentence. Angeline's biological mother publicly expressed her dissatisfaction, feeling that Margaret deserved the death penalty. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more true crime stories like this.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest movie recommendations. Check out these videos on the screen for more great films to explore. See you in the next one.